Well, it's great to come back together. What an incredible sequence of events that have played out over the course of the last few months. We are thrilled at how much you've been able to discover.
Moments ago, reports from Utah have shaken the paranormal community to its core. Sources close to federal law enforcement claim the FBI has officially intervened at Skinwalker Ranch, abruptly halting all ongoing research and activity on the property. Witnesses near the ranch describe convoys of unmarked black SUVs, helicopters circling overhead, and agents ordering the entire crew to evacuate immediately. But what could have triggered such a drastic government response at one of the most mysterious locations in America? From UFO sightings and cattle mutilations to radiation anomalies, Skinwalker Ranch has always been a magnet for the unexplainable. Yet, this time, investigators may have gone too far. Stay tuned, because what the FBI allegedly uncovered in the basement lab could change everything we thought we knew about the ranch. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe for more shocking real-life mysteries just like this one. It started as a quiet evening at the ranch, just another night of data collection for the research team. Cameras monitored the skies, sensors tracked electromagnetic fluctuations, and scientists prepared for another long session of observation. Everything was routine, until around 2:47 a.m., when one of the security feeds went completely dark. Moments later, the entire surveillance grid began flickering in and out. The backup generators kicked in automatically, but even they failed after a few seconds. Then, according to one technician's report, an intense, low-frequency hum filled the air, shaking the ground beneath the control room. The temperature dropped suddenly by nearly 20 degrees, and all digital equipment froze simultaneously. Something, or someone, had entered the property. The guards stationed on the north field claimed they saw a luminous shape hovering just above the mesa, roughly 200 yards away. It emitted no sound, no propulsion, just light. Then, as one guard approached, it vanished in an instant, leaving behind a circular burn pattern on the ground and traces of metallic residue that began to move, yes, move, on its own. By morning, the data logs showed massive electromagnetic interference, readings off the charts, and radiation spikes never recorded before in that sector. The following day, the lead researcher sent samples to a federal testing facility for analysis. Within hours, the lab was contacted by unknown government officials demanding immediate confidentiality. 2 days later, the ranch was stormed by armed personnel carrying FBI insignia. They confiscated computers, hard drives, lab notebooks, everything. No explanations, no warrants shown. The crew was told the site was now under federal investigation and that all further communication about the event was prohibited under national security directives. Locals noticed military aircraft patrolling the skies at night, and rumors spread that a containment zone had been established underground. But no one could confirm what was being contained or why. Whatever happened that night at Skinwalker Ranch wasn't just another strange encounter. It was something that even the federal government didn't want the public to see. When the FBI entered Skinwalker Ranch, they didn't come quietly. Witnesses described over a dozen black SUVs and unmarked trucks rolling through the property gates before sunrise. Agents in hazmat suits emerged, their faces covered, their movements urgent and precise. Within hours, every piece of evidence the research team had gathered, videos, radiation readings, biological samples, was seized and loaded into armored cases. One insider later revealed that even sealed containers from the underground storage unit were taken, suggesting the government knew exactly what they were looking for. The team's lead scientist, Dr. Aaron Blake, tried to intervene, demanding legal justification. But an agent allegedly told him, "This goes way above your clearance level." From that moment, the project was effectively dead. No data, no access, no explanations. Days later, the ranch's website went offline, and all communications between the crew were cut off. Several employees claimed their emails had been deleted, their phones wiped, and their bank accounts temporarily frozen. An intimidation tactic, perhaps, or something much more serious. Locals in the nearby town of Ballard began noticing unusual military activity. Drones patrolled the sky at night, and heavy machinery was heard deep within the canyons. Farmers reported seeing lights moving underground, as if tunnels were being constructed beneath the property. Rumors spread that a new structure was being built inside the mesa, something fortified, hidden from view. A source from inside the research circle later leaked that the FBI's primary objective was a specific container stored beneath the main lab. It was labeled simply as Subject A. What was inside remains unknown, but according to those who handled it, the container emitted heat without any power source. Thermal scans revealed it pulsed, almost like a living organism. The FBI classified it as biohazard material, though scientists who had previously examined it claimed it was unlike any biological entity known to science. Whatever Subject A was, it appeared to react to electromagnetic signals and even changed form when exposed to light. After its removal, strange occurrences around the ranch reportedly intensified. Wild animals behaving aggressively, equipment malfunctioning miles away, and unexplainable sounds echoing from the earth. The locals said it felt as if the ranch itself was alive, reacting to what was taken from it. The government may have seized the evidence, but they couldn't erase the energy that lingered. After the FBI raid, the property was sealed off with heavy security. Locals watched as convoys of military trucks hauled in equipment day and night, followed by concrete mixers and cranes. Soon, an enormous steel gate was installed near the base of the mesa, blocking what had once been an access tunnel used by the research team. Eyewitnesses described faint rumbling noises at night, as if something massive was being excavated underground. A few drone operators tried to fly over the restricted area, but every drone lost signal the moment it reached the ranch's perimeter. Within days, new no-fly zone notices appeared in FAA databases covering the entire region. The official explanation cited aerial hazards due to testing operations, but insiders whispered that the ranch had become home to a classified subterranean facility. One contractor who spoke anonymously claimed he had been hired for ground stabilization work beneath the mesa. He reported working in a tunnel nearly 300 feet below ground level, where sealed chambers were being constructed. He also said he saw a container, identical to the one described as Subject A, being lowered into the structure before the tunnel was sealed. What's more chilling is that every worker was required to sign non-disclosure agreements under penalty of imprisonment, and none of them ever saw daylight again until their contracts ended abruptly. Meanwhile, strange readings were detected by private investigators operating miles from the ranch. They reported low-frequency vibrations emanating from beneath the earth, sometimes lasting hours. The vibrations seemed to form a rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. This sparked speculation that whatever was being stored beneath the mesa was either alive or generating some form of conscious energy. Some believed the FBI wasn't just investigating Skinwalker Ranch, they were containing something that could not be explained by science or reason. A local sheriff even admitted off-record that he'd received orders from federal agencies to redirect patrols away from the area for the foreseeable future. What they were protecting, no one could say for sure. But one thing was clear: Skinwalker Ranch was no longer a research site. It had become a militarized quarantine zone, its secrets buried deep within the rock, and the government was determined to keep them there. Weeks after the FBI's sudden shutdown of Skinwalker Ranch, a mysterious audio file began circulating on encrypted forums used by paranormal researchers. The file was reportedly uploaded by an anonymous whistleblower claiming to be part of the ranch's former technical team. At first, it sounded like nothing more than static and deep rumbling, but when analyzed through frequency isolation, a chilling pattern emerged. Voices layered beneath the noise. They weren't human. The voices spoke in bursts, a strange sequence of tones and guttural echoes resembling distorted language. Audio engineers who examined the file said the frequencies extended beyond human hearing, dipping into infrasonic ranges that cause unease and nausea when played aloud. In the background, faint human voices could also be heard, possibly those of the scientists who were working that night. One distinct phrase repeats over and over, "It's responding. It's responding." The implication was terrifying. Whatever they were studying had made contact. Investigators cross-referenced the metadata and confirmed the recording was captured on the night the power grid failed. The whistleblower later released a second file, this one capturing a live radio transmission between two security personnel moments before the blackout. In it, one of them reports movement near the mesa and describes seeing a shape crawling on all fours but glowing like molten steel. Seconds later, the transmission cuts off with a deafening metallic screech, followed by silence. The FBI quickly moved to scrub the files from every corner of the internet, issuing takedown notices and pressuring sites to remove the material, labeling it as forged. Yet digital archivists managed to preserve several copies, and sound analysis confirmed the environmental acoustics matched the topography of Skinwalker Ranch. Experts from independent labs determined the audio contained frequencies consistent with ultrasonic bursts, the kind generated by high-energy plasma or directed energy weapons. But there were no records of any such tests in the area. Some former insiders speculated that the audio wasn't a recording of an external event at all, but rather a signal, something that originated from beneath the mesa. If true, that would mean whatever lay buried underground wasn't passive. It was active, intelligent, and communicating. The more the FBI tried to erase it, the louder the mystery grew, forcing the public to question what kind of discovery could cause such coordinated silence from every level of government. After the leaked audio surfaced, those connected to the Skinwalker Ranch project began vanishing one by one. The first was Dr. Aaron Blake, the same lead scientist who confronted the FBI during the raid. He was last seen checking into a hotel in Salt Lake City for a scheduled media interview. He never arrived. His room was found untouched, his belongings still inside, and surveillance footage from the lobby mysteriously erased. Days later, a technician named Lisa Morgan, who worked with the sensor grid team, disappeared while driving home. Her car was found abandoned on a dirt road with the keys still in the ignition. Locals claimed they saw a convoy of black vehicles that night heading toward the canyon. Vehicles without license plates. Within 2 weeks, every member of the ranch's original staff who had direct access to Subject A had either gone missing or left the state under government relocation programs. One surviving security contractor, who agreed to speak under anonymity, revealed that before the shutdown, the team had been warned by a federal liaison to forget everything they had seen or face charges under the Espionage Act. He also mentioned something even stranger. Each member of the crew had undergone mandatory medical screenings following the incident. Blood samples were drawn, and in at least 3 cases, anomalies were detected. The contractor recalled that Dr. Blake himself had complained about severe insomnia, vivid hallucinations, and hearing mechanical whispers whenever near electrical equipment. Another team member developed lesions on her arms that emitted faint electromagnetic pulses when scanned. Government doctors brushed these symptoms off as radiation exposure, but independent experts later concluded that the symptoms were bioelectrical disruptions, unlike any known medical condition. Soon after these findings surfaced, all documentation was classified and every civilian researcher was silenced. To the public, the official statement from federal authorities was simple. Skinwalker Ranch had been closed due to environmental contamination and safety risks. But those close to the investigation knew the truth. Whatever happened there was not a natural phenomenon. It was something the human body and mind weren't meant to encounter. Those who did either vanished, fell silent, or began losing their grip on reality. The disappearances marked the beginning of a larger cover-up, one designed to erase the existence of something that defied science and sanity alike. Months after the shutdown, an ex-employee from the television crew that once filmed documentaries at Skinwalker Ranch leaked what he claimed was the final piece of surviving footage from the night of the blackout. The clip, just under 3 minutes long, showed thermal camera images of the mesa moments before the power surge. In the beginning, everything appeared normal. Heat signatures of animals, team members walking, vehicles parked. But at exactly 2:46 a.m., a sudden distortion swept across the frame, and several heat signatures vanished instantly. A massive oval-shaped object appeared above the mesa, its core colder than its surroundings, which was scientifically impossible. The camera shook violently, and the operator could be heard shouting that, "Something's opening!" The video then cut to a static screen filled with bursts of light patterns resembling binary code. Analysts who later examined the footage determined that the binary translated to the word "access," repeated 16 times. Many believed that this wasn't a random glitch. It was a message. After the leak, the uploader's account disappeared, and multiple mirror links were taken down within hours. However, fragments of the footage survived across dark web servers, and independent investigators confirmed the metadata matched cameras previously registered at the ranch. Former crew members began speaking anonymously, claiming the FBI wasn't just covering up alien activity, they were communicating with it. One insider alleged that during the shutdown, the agents brought in specialized communication hardware similar to deep space. Receivers. These devices weren't designed for local frequencies, but for cosmic transmissions. Witnesses reported that during the operation, a blinding beam of light erupted from the mesa into the night sky, visible as far as Roosevelt, Utah. Locals who saw it described hearing a sound that seemed to vibrate in their bones. Hours later, several suffered nosebleeds and dizziness. The next morning, military aircraft patrolled the area, and residents were warned of experimental testing. But as the evidence kept leaking, the government's silence became deafening. People began connecting the dots: the blackout, the radiation, the voices in the leaked audio, the missing witnesses. Everything pointed to one chilling possibility. Skinwalker Ranch wasn't just being investigated. It was being used as a gateway, and the FBI had tried to shut it before something, or someone, came through. In the weeks following the leak of the forbidden footage, satellite scans revealed something disturbing: unexplained bursts of electromagnetic radiation pulsing from beneath the mesa at Skinwalker Ranch. Each pulse followed a precise interval, forming a pattern scientists later compared to a mathematical sequence used in signal encryption. Independent researchers who tracked these emissions noticed that the pulses coincided with geomagnetic activity, suggesting a synchronization between the ranch and cosmic phenomena far beyond Earth's atmosphere. What had once been dismissed as paranormal folklore now seemed to align with real, measurable energy. Then came the most shocking revelation. A former intelligence operative claiming to have worked in a monitoring division, revealed that the FBI hadn't just closed the ranch. They'd triggered a lockdown protocol after detecting an anomaly classified as Type Omega. According to him, a device had been discovered under the mesa, a structure made of unknown alloy, perfectly symmetrical, radiating both heat and light without consuming power. The team's attempt to activate the device coincided with the blackout event that caused the strange recordings and sightings. It wasn't simply an artifact, it was a gateway mechanism. One scientist allegedly described the activation as folding space, as if the environment itself distorted around the device. When they realized what was happening, it was too late. The ranch's atmosphere surged with radiation, and the ground began to vibrate at frequencies capable of shattering glass. Sensors recorded a massive energy spike, followed by total signal loss. That was when the FBI arrived. Sources believed their mission was never to investigate, but to contain whatever crossed over. Several residents nearby reported seeing shapes of light hovering over the mesa in the days that followed, geometric, structured, and eerily synchronized in movement. Livestock disappeared overnight, and wildlife fled the area entirely. By now, even skeptics began to reconsider their stance. The so-called portal may not have been a metaphor at all. The government's silence and the disappearance of the research team only strengthened suspicions that something had emerged. Some say that during the final containment phase, a secondary gate beneath the mesa reactivated, producing an energy signature identical to deep space anomalies once recorded near Jupiter's moon Europa. If true, it meant the gateway was connected not just to another place, but possibly another world. What terrified many was that the pulses didn't stop after the ranch was closed. They spread outward, faint but traceable, as if the gateway was searching for something or someone. Weeks after Skinwalker Ranch was completely sealed off, all activity in the area seemed to stop. The sky above the mesa turned eerily quiet, and locals assumed the government had successfully contained whatever had been unleashed. But one night, a civilian radio astronomer monitoring deep space frequencies intercepted a transmission that would reignite the mystery. The signal came from the exact coordinates of Skinwalker Ranch. It lasted only 43 seconds and repeated one phrase encoded in binary: "Do not open again." Experts from multiple countries attempted to trace the signal, but its origin appeared to come not from the surface, but several hundred meters underground, exactly where the FBI had built their secret facility. The astronomer who caught the signal reported it to the authorities and was promptly detained. His equipment was seized, and he was never heard from again. Within days, news spread of sudden seismic activity under the mesa. Locals described tremors that shook windows and cracked foundations, though no official record appeared on the U.S. Geological Survey. Then, military aircraft returned, circling the ranch day and night. Bright lights illuminated the property, and something enormous was airlifted out beneath heavy cover. A witness from miles away captured faint footage of it, a massive container pulsing with a soft blue glow. The following morning, the ranch was completely buried under reinforced concrete, as if the government wanted to seal it forever. But the strangest part came hours later, when every digital compass, radio, and GPS device within a 50-mile radius malfunctioned simultaneously. The disruption lasted nearly 6 minutes, followed by an intense flash of light seen as far as Vernal, Utah. For 2 weeks, locals complained of nightmares, distorted time perception, and hearing mechanical voices whispering through their radios when tuned to static frequencies. Then, everything went silent. Every trace of the ranch, its history, its coordinates, its ownership records, was wiped from official databases. It was as if Skinwalker Ranch had never existed. Yet some believe it isn't over. A small number of researchers who managed to preserve fragments of the original data warn that the pulses continue. But they're no longer coming from Utah. Similar signals have been detected in remote corners of the world, from Siberia to the deserts of Nevada, each carrying the same binary warning: do not open again. Whether it was a portal, a weapon, or something far more intelligent, no one outside the highest levels of government truly knows. But one thing is certain: the FBI didn't shut down Skinwalker Ranch to protect the public from the truth. They shut it down to protect reality itself from what they accidentally awakened beneath the earth.